Hi, people, if there's anyone out there.
Hello.
Again, technical problems. I don't know what's going on. Never had technical problems until I started trying to do Doc's calls. So here we go. We're back on live on the page, and hopefully some of you are smart enough to know by now that when Andrea does the call, you better go to the live on the page, okay? So, I want to introduce my friend and Sisel distributor, Wendy, and she's going to share with us today her walk from hospice to or toward health. So, welcome, Wendy.
Hey, Andrea.
We're doing this together.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Great. So, you know, Wendy has quite a story to share with us, and it's an amazing story. Both of us believe in the power of prayer and believe that God heals. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to leave that part of her story out. So we're going to mention it here, even though this is a business call. And some of you may not feel the same way, but we do.
Yeah.
And Wendy had many people praying for her, and
all over the world.
Yes, and so that is part of her story, you know, that God probably did a really awesome miracle for her, but we also believe that God provides these amazing natural substances for our health.
Most definitely.
And that knowledge, the word says, with lack of knowledge you perish. So what we're doing on this call is we're providing you with knowledge, and that will benefit you. So I just want to go ahead and let Wendy get started here.
Okay.
So Wendy, why don't you just start with what happened last year? Well, maybe before last year.
Well, it was in the fall of 2017. I was turning 50 and really, really excited to turn 50. I noticed a change in my right breast. Strangely enough, through a picture that I had seen on Facebook, and I looked at everything and I was like, oh no, I need to get checked out. So that's what I did, and it was 2 weeks before my 50th birthday. I went to the ER, no doubt, and they just sped everything through, and I found out I had picked a surgeon and had a biopsy, and everything came back as breast cancer. I had been given the diagnosis that I had breast cancer on the right, for sure. And so with that process, I ended up, they do what's called an MRI, a breast MRI, to, see where everything is, so they can make a good decision in regards to the plan of action and treatment. And so I had that, and nothing showed on the left, but through family history and just research of my own, as soon as I was told the type of cancer that I had, and I wanted to be as knowledgeable, when you're talking knowledgeable, as possible, because you always hear the word cancer and you think you know what cancer is and what you have to go through when you are given that diagnosis. And breast cancer, I had no clue, because there's just so many variations, and it's a very difficult and challenging diagnosis. And I had family history, both my grandmother and my aunt on my dad's side succumbed to cancer, breast cancer. So then,
well, let's just clarify something here. This is your personal story, and we're not making any medical claims or saying that Sisel products healed you, but through the Deshay Act, we do have the ability to share with people the research and science behind the substances that are in our products. So what we're doing today is just letting Wendy share her story about her walk with this diagnosis and how she actually moved from hospice into health. And so I'm just going to go ahead and let you continue, Wendy, with your story.
Right. And so, even though it didn't show on the left side, I made the decision. Sometimes I have word recall issues, but I made the decision to have a double mastectomy. And the doctor kind of was hesitant, but he said, okay, well, if the insurance covers it, then we'll proceed. And so we did. And it was a good decision because, yes, indeed, there was cancer on the left side. There was cancer on both sides in both lymphatic system.
Yeah, was that done previous to me talking with you that spring? Or did we talk just after the diagnosis?
We talked after the surgery, right around the time where I was getting ready to, I think it was right after my diagnosis, and then deciding the direction that they were going to take.
Right.
We talked.
And you had seen some information I had posted online, and we had just recently met at church.
Yeah.
And so you gave me a call and you just asked for some feedback.
We talked about natural ways of possibly dealing with cancer opposed to going the traditional treatment, because of, just side effects of everything traditional cancer treatment does to your body. And I remember our conversation very specifically. You really tried to encourage me not to necessarily go through chemo, and at that point they were talking chemo, radiation, and then hormone blocking therapies after I found out the staging and everything. So I was really glad that I made the decision to have the double mastectomy. It was the best decision, but based on the fact that I was stage 3 on the right and stage 1 on the left, and I had it in both lymphatic systems, and the type of staging, what they do with breast cancer is they look at hormone, the protein, and the rate of which the cancer grows.
Okay.
And so it's pretty in-depth. I'm not going to go into all of that. That's way beyond. But so based on the pathology and the fact that my oncologist said to me that I had what is called invasive lobular breast cancer, the cancer starts in the milk gland itself. I read in depth in regards to that type of cancer. It's not uncommon, but it's not as common as the ductal, and it's very, very hard to detect until it's in the later stages.
I really think is great about that is that you did the research. So many people go into this journey and they don't seek information, or they don't seek education about what they're going through. So that was really a good decision on your part.
The direction that I needed to take in regards to doing what was best for my body, for my life and my future to beat this, I just wanted to have as much knowledge as possible. And you can never go into anything having everything.
Too much knowledge.
You're not going to know everything. And to be perfectly honest with you, cancer treatment is just everything about it is so there's so much to it, and when you get that diagnosis, you become extremely fearful, and you become very overwhelmed. And I had to be put on anxiety medicine and just I started having panic attacks and just all sorts of, your mind goes through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so then but I felt really good with making the decision that, and I made the decision on the double mastectomy because of talking to other women, talking to other medical professionals, and when you get the breast cancer diagnosis, you speak with what's called a breast health nurse manager. She sits you down and she goes through everything from point A to point B, but I didn't base my decision on what she had to say to me. I based my decision on my gut.
Okay.
My gut, my family history, everything, and what the doctors were telling me. And I listened to you in regards to, don't go through that chemo.
Trying to keep the immune system strong.
Yes, and try and do it as healthy as possible. Well, I didn't have enough of that knowledge. I was not as comfortable just going all natural. I didn't have that research. Like I was so consumed with the diagnosis, and when the doctors said to me, "You have invasive cancer, and it has spread outside of the tumors, and it is in your lymphatic system."
So it ended up being a really good decision on your part, and it was your personal decision, and you requested the doctor to check the left side.
I did, and then after I had the surgery, my oncologist demanded that the surgeon go back in and take the because he didn't take the lymph nodes on the left side until he put my port in. He didn't even want to do it, but he did.
It was a good decision on your part.
It was, and then even the PET scan did not show my cancer in the lymphatic system on the left side. So medical machines are not infallible. They can't always see everything. So I was like, I did the best decisions. And so with that fear, I went ahead and did chemo.
Okay. So, I think a lot of people, we all hear out in the world there that, people do chemo, they lose their hair, they get sick, they don't feel well after chemo treatments, but we really don't know all that entails. So I'm just going to ask you, Wendy, to kind of walk us through, not in detail, but just quickly walk us through a lot of the different things that you faced as you were going through that process.
Okay. The whole process, the treatment, I'll just give you a very brief synopsis of what my treatment plan was. My treatment plan was two chemo drugs, dealt with breast cancer. There's 2 drugs that they give to you at the same time, and you do every other of those. You only have 4 of those treatments, and then they switch it to another chemo medication that you do for 12 weeks.
Okay.
And then after that, then you do your radiation, which consists by 6 weeks. And then after that, after you complete all of that, then they put you on, because my tumors were estrogen and progesterone positive. That meant the cancer was driven by my hormones. That's what made the cancer grow. My hormones went haywire. And so then, so I went ahead and I'm not going to go into detail the specific chemo meds. That's,
right.
So I did the 4 toughest treatments. And as I'm going through that, of course, yes, I lost my hair. But what my body did once chemo was introduced to my system, I've spoken, I'm on a support group for women for breast cancer, and there's a variation that these women have experienced in regards to dealing with breast cancer treatment. But my system, once I had chemo introduced to my body, everything kind of shut down. All my senses. By the very last, after the second treatment, I could not ingest I'm gluten intolerant, so I don't ingest flour products at all anymore. Anyways, but once I start doing chemo, I could not do dairy. I couldn't eat. I could not eat. So my sister made and at the time I was going through chemo, I didn't have a outside support system except for a couple of friends, and my sister at the time. I just didn't have the family support to be able to because once I did chemo, I couldn't eat anymore, and I didn't eat for 2.5 months, and as a result, I lost 50 pounds.
Yeah, and you had, you said you had thrush.
Yeah, I ended up getting, when I say my senses shut down, so as I'm not able to eat anymore, they put you on a high dose of steroids to deal with the chemo. And so basically not eating, then I couldn't sleep, then everything.
So sleep deprivation.
Sleep deprivation really drove the severe going into what I call a severe depression, where I couldn't handle light, had to have the blinds shut. I couldn't handle sound. I stopped watching TV, stopped listening to radio. Physical interaction with people, period. I couldn't go out of my home. Everybody had to bring things to me, and I just got weaker and weaker and weaker. And after the last chemo treatment, with the sleep deprivation and all of my senses shut down, I'm sorry, I lost my focus. 1 second.
It's okay.
I began to hallucinate. I had some hallucinations and stuff, and I was like, and then I made it through. I almost was not going to do the 4th treatment, but then I made it through the 4th treatment, and after the 4th treatment, I had thrush so bad I could not even eat my shakes anymore.
You couldn't eat, you couldn't sleep.
I couldn't sleep.
And then, as you say here, your sister was consulting with the doctor. And
yes.
he made a statement.
So the very after the very last treatment, and I began to hallucinate and just stop everything. My sister had consulted with. She had told me that the doctor had said to her, because the doctor didn't say it to me directly, and she was my support person. The doctor told her that if I could not do any more treatments, that I was looking at 6 months because of the type of cancer that I had.
Okay.
And so when I heard that, when my sister said that to me, and I just, the everything set in, and the reality of everything, I fell at home. I couldn't sleep in my bed. I just had enough. I couldn't fight anymore.
Well, I can't imagine like your state of mind and your state of being at that point where you've had a chemical assault on your body, you've had sleep deprivation, you haven't been able to give your body nutrition. So your body was pretty much deteriorating at that point.
I personally felt that the chemo was killing me.
So you made a decision at that point.
I did. I made a decision at that point. I said I can't fight anymore. And my sister was she begged me. She was very upset, but we had a long talk, and I just told her, I said I can't do it anymore. And so she got in touch with the social worker with my medical system, and had a discussion with her in the process that I needed to do to go through in order to make the decision to go into hospice.
Can you talk a little louder because they may not be able to hear you?
Okay, so then we talked to the social worker and we went through the whole process. I admitted, the ambulance came and got me. I went to ER and they did a whole psych eval, and then they kept me. And with that, I was in the hospital for 2 days, and then I went to a nursing home for a day until an opening, because I did not want to be at home anymore. I couldn't be at home. I couldn't take care of myself. So there was a hospice facility in our area, in our county, and when I heard the name of it, my spiritual being, when I heard the name of the hospice facility, which I'm not going to discuss, but I was like, that's where I want to go and be taken care of. Because, you know, in making the decision with hospice, knowing that what I was facing, I just personally, I knew I couldn't fight anymore. I couldn't do the treatments anymore. But I was also okay with the direction and the decision that they had given me. So it's a challenge to make that decision, but I did what was best for myself. I had people support me and I had people upset with me, but I just did what was best for myself to take care of myself at the end. And I had experience volunteering with hospice, and hospice is a great agency, and they took good care of me. And you know, the hospice doctors came in, and there was just, you know, there was a plan of action and how to deal with my care. I went on an antidepressant, and they started giving me pain medicine and increased anxiety medicine, and I just, I had thrush so bad that I couldn't eat, so I ate watermelon for a month.
Well, that's a pretty good thing to eat. Flush the body out.
Yeah, I think it did. But all I could consume in the first month that I was in hospice was until the
So tell us what happened in hospice so that it was kind of a turnaround. What things led up to you walking out of hospice?
Well, what happened during hospice is chemo came out of my body. As it came out of my system, I sweated it out profusely. I soaked the beds over and over. They had to change my pillowcase 5 or 6 different times, and it was baby steps. I was bedridden. I didn't walk, so I was bedridden for quite some time and eating watermelon. And as the depression medicine started working, and the social worker came, I had a friend that came and supported me, and then I had the opportunity to see my granddaughter. And when she came, and my daughter begged me to fight, and everyone's like, well, you can't quit. I said, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting going into hospice. I can't take care of myself anymore. I'm giving everything over to whatever happens. But then I had certain people beg me to fight, and seeing my granddaughter was a pivotal turning point for me.
That would be.
And I...
Hope for the future.
It was. And just her putting her little hand on my face and looking up into my eyes and saying, Grandma, I love you. And I was like, okay. You're going to fight again. I'm going to fight again.
And you had multiple people praying for you all through this whole process.
Yes, and I had visitors, and people sent me cards. There's one friend in particular that would text me every single day.
Nice.
Every day. And I I gained, as the chemo came out of my body, as I started, I remember the very first thing that I ate that wasn't watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
It was a piece of turkey and a little bit of potatoes that were mashed with a little bit of mud. It wasn't mashed. I couldn't do dairy. I just put a little bit of seasoning and mashed it was just the potato and turkey. That's the first thing that I ate in hospice. And then it just was baby steps from there. And
so it was just about 1 year ago. You're celebrating an anniversary.
I did. February 9th is the day that I went into hospice, and they gave me 6 months to live, and here I am a year later.
Yeah, and
I walked out of hospice on my sister's birthday, May 8th.
Yeah, Wendy's doing great. So May 8th, she walked out of hospice.
Yep.
And so let's get into a little bit about some of the natural things that you did to support your body.
Okay. Well, when I left hospice, what they recommended was that I do radiation. No more chemo, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But they said if you do the radiation treatment, your chances of reoccurrence would go from 40% to 20%. And I was like, that's better, a little bit better odds. Okay, so, I ended up doing radiation. I did 25 I did 25 treatments, and then I was supposed to do 5 boosters, but I was like, the way my body was after and everything that I went through with the chemo, I got to that point and I said, no more, no more. And so they did radiation over my whole chest because of the lymphatic system and everything. And so, to be honest with you, radiation's a whole nother avenue, and I'm not going to even go into all of that.
I've heard that story, and nobody wants to know how bad that was.
No. So, I made it through radiation, and as I'm going through radiation, my friend Jane, she's also friends with you, I had a discussion with her, and as I'm coming out of hospice, I started taking Fucoidin, one of the Sisel products, in regards to, it helps your immune system rebuild, all of those kinds of things that I heard about the product. So I started taking that. And then Jane and I did a call with Doc, and we had a conversation in regards to, my whole treatment, what I went through. And he's like, well, I don't know. Okay, so if you decide to go with radiation, this is what I would recommend. And so we had that conversation, and I started taking the H pill, and I took it 6 pills a day, every single day, 2 weeks prior to starting radiation, all the way through radiation, all the way up until I came back to where I live now. I took 6 pills until about September of 2018, and then I've cut back to like 3 pills a day. And so I did that through my whole radiation treatment. And as I came out of hospice, some of the effects that chemo did to my body were, and I'm just going to mention real briefly, just because when I go into explaining to what I'm doing now in the positive effects of the products that I've been taking, chemo scarred the inside of my bones. I had neuropathy, which meant I didn't have any feeling in my legs from the tops of my thighs to my ankles, and I had swelling in my legs. They did an echocardiogram. My heart's okay, because they were concerned with the swelling in my legs being a heart issue, but it's not, because the chemo that they did give me can affect your heart.
Okay.
So from that, so when they took the lymph nodes out from underneath my arm, I ended up getting what's called lymphedema. Your lymphatic system drains the fluids off of your body and stuff, and so I had some of that, and so
it's kind of a buildup in your lymph system.
Yeah, and so I went to physical therapy and occupational therapy to learn how to deal with that, and then so I took the H pill, got through radiation and all of those kinds of things, I saw a naturopathic doctor and speak, and I had just a brief discussion with her in regards to, you know, some natural things. And then I just started researching myself. I had a friend that went through radiation with me, and she told me about what's called a natural hormone blocker. Because what happened is when I went through radiation, they shut my ovaries down and put me on a postmenopausal hormone blocker to stop cancer from coming back. To go through because the pre-menopausal hormone blockers you can't do while you're going through radiation. But I had severe side effects from the medications that shut my ovaries down, and also the hormone blockers. The hormone blockers cause issues with my joints, issues with my muscles, issues with my circulatory. It caused a lot of pain in my body. So I made the decision coming back here to stop the shots, to shut down my ovaries, and also to stop the pharmaceutical hormone blockers. So I am now taking a natural supplement for hormone blocking that she told me about. She also took me to a natural store down in the Detroit area and told me about, it's called Blue Flag. It's from the blue iris root, and it does really work to help my lymphatic system when I have. And so once I completed radiation, what my body did was, even though I only seemed to have swelling in a little bit in my legs and in my left arm mainly, after radiation was complete, it went everywhere.
The swelling.
The swelling.
Okay.
My whole lymphatic system was affected to the point where I took an Epsom salts bath and I thought I was going to die. My blood pressure shot through the roof because I felt the fluid filling my carotids up into my head. My blood pressure went 156 over 130, 120 something. And I was like, oh, can't have salt. Yeah. No salt, no salt, no salt. So it just shut everything down for me. It changed everything about how my whole body system and chemistry works.
Yeah, and you're learning how to work through that.
Yes,
in that process. So you felt like the H pill helped you with some restoration and help during the radiation treatments.
I do, and what happened with that product is, with me continuing to take it. So
what did happen?
Well, it's fantastic because ever since I've been taking it, I'm getting feeling back in my legs.
So it was helping with the neuropathy.
It's helping with the neuropathy.
And I had the same thing. Helped with mine.
Wow. I've talked to many people that have neuropathy, and all they do is take nerve pain medicine.
Right, yeah.
They don't take anything to help heal it. They say there's nothing to help with the reducing of it. It just helps mask the pain. And while the H pill is restoring feeling back in my legs. It's
so
incredible.
You're getting all that feeling back in your
it's not completely 100%. It's not 100%. And, I don't even know if it will be, but I had to literally dig my nails deep into my legs to feel them at all. I could not feel them. Now I can feel the touch on my skin where I couldn't even feel that before. So and that's the H pill. So, and from there, I just completely changed everything. I don't do any pharmaceuticals. I completely changed my life.
So you do a lot of natural things. You changed your diet to a healthier diet.
I changed my diet to, I made the decision after speaking to another naturopathic person to do the blood type diet because for me, I have inflammation in my body, issues with that because of the gluten intolerance. And it just made sense to me. And once I started following the blood type diet, it cut back the inflammation, and with having the lymphedema already, it just made sense to me. So I did the blood type diet. I do liquid vitamins. I do the blue flag for lymphedema, and then I do the age pill and the hormone blockers, and I follow my diet, and I'm getting, I've been away from physical therapy since November, so I'm finally at a point where I can focus on myself, and where I'm just tuning into me, focusing on my recovery. And I tell you that you gave me the H2 packet to try.
Yeah,
and,
so about, 2 weeks ago, I think?
Yeah.
Wendy came over and we were discussing some things, going over some training and stuff, and I gave her a H2 packet to try. And then she came back again, and I mixed her up some H2. And before the end of that little mini session of training, you were telling me that it had made a difference already, like within just half an hour, 40 minutes of drinking
just drinking it one time, trying it the first time. The swelling in my hands went down. I wake up every morning with just stiffness. My whole body gets stiff because of the damage of the hormone blockers have done. And when I drank that, it felt like the inflammation was coming out of my body way better than any of the blue flag. I still do the blue flag, but I can't wait to just do the H2 daily, because it's taking, and I'm thinking just based on my body's reaction to the H2, that it's going to be a pivotal thing for me as far as swelling in my body and dealing with this lymph. I'm hoping that it just reverses a lot of the lymphatic issues that I've been having. And like literally after drinking the H2, the swelling goes down, and then I get huge bursts of energy. Like,
that's awesome.
I know. Oh, and the one other thing, in dealing with the sleep issues that I had going through the chemo and stuff, the naturopathic doctor recommended melatonin for me, and I'd never taken melatonin in my life. So I take a higher dose of it. I don't take like as much as she recommended, because I don't want to I also researched myself in regards to what would be the right dose for me and what my body can handle and can't handle. And so I take 10 milligrams of melatonin every night, and I get a deeper, better sleep than I've ever had in my life.
My guess is that you're going to have a much deeper sleep, because so many of us right now that are drinking the H2 are saying, oh my gosh, I think that somebody slipped me a Mickey last night because we're sleeping so deeply.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I find that I don't need as much sleep. I've dealt with depression my whole life, and like it's just the only pharmaceutical, I'm not kidding, the only pharmaceutical I take is that my goal is no pharmaceuticals at all. And the only pain medicine, I don't take pharmaceuticals for pain. I just do straight CBD for myself. That seems to be the only thing that works, because anytime I take any pharmaceuticals, it affects my liver and kidneys. And I did not walk out of hospice to have my liver and kidneys damaged. I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to do great things. So I just I'm loving life, and even though I have physical issues and dealing with the aftermath of cancer, breast cancer, you know, a lot of when you get the diagnosis is living in fear. And I had a gentleman I met at the oncologist's office, and he really changed my perspective, because you know, once you have cancer, that little spark is in the back of your head thinking, oh God, please don't let it come back. Well, cancer's not going to come back. it's just not going to come back because, one, my faith, two, my research, and three, I've completely changed my lifestyle. I'm not living the way I did before I got cancer. And with all of my knowledge and my ability to take Sisel products, like you said, we can't say, I'm not saying it cures cancer, but it's helping support my body to overcome the damage that's been done in regards to chemo and radiation. You know, there's side effects from that. And I've spoken, Andrea, to multiple people that have had family members that have had cancer come back multiple times, and they do radiation over and over again, and it's not the cancer that kills them, it's another cancer comes back because of, and
drinking Mountain Dew and eating White Castle sandwiches on the way home. Okay.
Well, and that's another thing too. Right. I don't eat any processed foods. I cut all processed foods, preservatives out. If I can stay, I read every label, every label for sodium content, preservative content, and I pretty much eat whole foods as much as possible. I'm not gonna say that I've not ever slipped and not had.
Oh yeah, we gotta have chocolate once in a while, right?
Well, and there's only one chocolate I can eat because I can't have. Most chocolate has soy lecithin in it, which is a preservative. There's only one chocolate that I can eat. And boy, when I get a chance to eat it, I eat it. Because I can't give up everything. Right, come on.
So just a recap, folks, and we've gone over today. We got a little late start, but we've gone over. But I wanted Wendy to be able to share her whole story with you.
Thank you.
And I thank you, Wendy, for doing this, sharing this with us.
Absolutely.
And
knowledge is power.
So to just recap, what was it, May of 2017, you walked into hospice?
Nope, February 9th of 2018. My cancer journey started in the fall of 17 with the surgery and the diagnosis and surgery. Started chemo in December. Did chemo in December and January and went into hospice February 9th of last year and walked out May 8th on my sister's birthday. That's awesome. Went on to do radiation. Started taking Sisel products faithfully. Went through a lot of different stressors, but I made it through every single step, and here I am, and I, just researching everything and just focusing on doing what's best for my body and my mind and my health is my goal. And my future goals are I'm going to be writing a book about my life's journey and my cancer journey. And my future goal is to do really well with Sisel International and also with my book, getting it published and doing some pretty inspirational speaking.
Awesome.
So that's my future.
That's awesome, Wendy. And whenever I meet with Wendy, it's like she's just so full of life. And it's so hard to believe that not long ago she was looking death square in the face. So,
a year ago.
Yeah. So thank you, Wendy, again for joining me today. And
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We'll see all you guys later. Have a great day.
Nice being here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.